Hey, what's up guys? John here. A lot of people ask me, where should I start my real estate journey? Should I buy a condo? Should I buy a house? A multifamily property? And the best way to look at this is to understand the transition that we're going into as a country, into an economy. You know, back in our parents' day and age, they could go to school or not go to school, make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. One person would work, the other would stay home. And the net result is that they'd have 2 kids or 3 kids. They'd go on vacation once a year. They'd have 2 cars. They'd save money. It was an easy scenario. Well, now what we're having, especially over the last few years, is this consolidation of power and control. And this power and this control that's been consolidated is being used to weaponize against the middle class through single family purchases. They're out there buying 50, 100,000 houses at a time. Wall Street is essentially taking over. Even Steven Schwarzman, he just came out, the founder of Blackstone, who also the founder of Invitation Homes, America's largest landlord. He came out and says he thinks that rent will rise 3 times inflation in certain markets. They're saying that the actual inflation number is 6%. So he's basically saying another 20% rent increases in certain markets. After we had 2021, where typical rents increased about 17%. Some markets, like Tampa, increased 30%. So when I take in all this information, some of the big questions I have to ask myself, if I were starting over all again, would I go out there and buy a condo? Would I buy a house? Or would I buy a multifamily property? Now, when you buy a condo, understand that you don't own the land underneath of that condo. You simply own air rights. You own the real estate inside of the walls. That's it. You own that. And you have to answer to an HOA, a homeowner association. And you have to pay this HOA. Could be $300, could be $500, could be $1,000 per month. And what they do is they give you a set of guidelines in which every single building owner has to operate under. So every condo owner has to operate under these same guidelines. And basically, they get to call the shots on the property. So that's one of the negatives. That is a negative to me because the HOA always goes up and you don't own the land. So would I want to start there? Probably not. Although it is the cheapest entryway into home ownership. If you can barely afford anything in terms of single family, maybe a condo is the right option for you. It's possible. Would I go single family? Probably not. And the reason being is if I'm in Florida right now, homeowners insurance continues skyrocketing. Costs continue going up. And what I think is going to happen is I think we're stepping into an affordability crisis. That's what I think we're going to be stepping into. I think that over the next 5 years, what we're going to see is a lot of traditional business models get wiped out, corporations taking over these properties. And I simply wouldn't want to compete against all these corporations. I don't know what's going to happen with this single family market. When I say single family, let me rephrase. I'm not talking about, the $150,000, $200,000 price points. I think those price points are probably the safest bet you can find if you can get into a decent area. I'm talking about the $500,000, $600,000 price points that seem almost commonplace in a lot of markets now. I would stay clear of those. Instead, what I'd be looking at is I'd be trying to build out a defensive strategy. And defensive meaning, if I were to lose my job, if things hit the fan, could I survive? What can I do? And how I would be doing this is first I'd write out a list of all my expenses. I figured out exactly how much money I'm spending every single month, figure out how much money I'm pulling in, and then realize that the core problem that I have is the amount of money that I'm spending. And what I'd want to do is I'd want to reverse those expenses to zero, so that way I have peace of mind and I have complete stability. And then after that, I'd build out new revenue streams and build out a whole new game plan to take myself to the next level. But first, I wouldn't want to just dive into that. So what I'd like to do is I'd pursue a triplex or a fourplex. These properties are considered residential, meaning you could buy them with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And you could owner occupy one of these units and the other 3 or the other 2 would offset your mortgage, your carrying cost, and then you'd have tax deductions and you'd have a lot of benefits there with doing it that way. But you do have to be very careful, especially today in the markets you invest in. For example, California, Los Angeles just extended the eviction moratorium until June of 2023. So you don't know, maybe this could all come back where LA follows New York and New York then goes to Illinois and it continues going there. But if that does happen and you are a multifamily property owner and you're owner occupying one of the units, you simply just have to be more careful with who you select. You can ask for more of a deposit up front, and in exchange you could reduce the rent slightly to incentivize the right tenant to write a big check. And then you'd have some peace of mind. I believe that this is going to be the smart thing to do. Reducing expenses, especially as we step into an inflationary environment, to build out other options. You don't want to be stuck against the wall to where Blackstone says that, hey, rents are going up 20% this year after they just went up another 20% last year. So basically all of your expenses, when you take into consideration food and gasoline and everything, went up 70 or 80%. It's destroying the middle class. It's destroying the 99%. So that's my advice. Pick a really good market that you understand the landlord-tenant laws in, build out a really good defensive strategy, get yourself into a position to where you can become immune to any of the economic hardships that could potentially come down the line. And then at that point in time, if you are in a really good financial place and things hit the fan, you have options. You could always rent out the unit that you're owner occupying, and then you could always buy another property, a multifamily property, or maybe even a single family house. And if that's the case, maybe those 4 units would offset the cost of the 4 units plus a good chunk of the housing payment. And then before you know it, that 4-unit property could be your retirement plan. So being defensive, coming up with the right strategy in 2022, I believe is going to be the biggest advantage that a lot of new investors, the new property owners have. Because we live in a world with social media, where everyone is trying to compete with everyone else, trying to look very rich and successful, showing a lifestyle and really just an incredible lifestyle, living outside of their means, when in reality, nobody really cares. If you focus on yourself, you focus on your family, you build out the right plan, then over time, everything will work out and you won't have big setbacks. One of the big things that I look at now too is back in our parents' generation, they could have a massive setback. They could lose everything and they could start over again and they could try again and things would be okay. But now, if you don't want to start over in a year or 2 years, because the way that society is progressing, the way that things are changing, it's only going to get harder and harder and harder to make things work. So you want to really hit it out the park the first deal or the second deal. You want to really do a really good job in the beginning so that you have that foundation to where you continue growing without any big setbacks. What are your thoughts on real estate investing in 2022? If you'd like help learning how to invest in real estate or you want my guidance, click the link down below in the description. Let me know what you think about the real estate market in 2022, 2023. Do you think corporations are essentially going to be dominating the real estate space? Drop your comments below. I'll respond. I'll talk to you guys later. If you've enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into the real world of real estate investing, make sure to check out my gold standard program, Cash Flow Rental Blueprint, by clicking the link in the description below this video. We're currently living in very difficult times. I personally believe these are some of the hardest times that we've ever lived in. We are losing, in many cases, our families, our businesses, our jobs, our sense of security. All this is at threat right now. And it's all thanks to the draconian shutdowns that we're all faced to live under. It's times like these that we can see the value in having more than one stream of income. This is certainly not an unattainable goal or something reserved for only a select few. It is the achievement through education and hard work. Now is the time to be relying on multiple streams of income and not just Big Brother. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you think that your pension is going to cover your retirement, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Don't wait until misfortune knocks at your door. Be proactive and create more security for yourself and your family. One of the best ways you can earn a side hustle today is through real estate investing, something that I've been involved in for over a decade. The strategy is to invest in multifamily homes and live off of rental income through your tenants. These are some of the homes and apartments I currently own and I'm renting out. In my Cash Flow Rental Blueprint, I'll teach you the ins and outs to real estate investing. You'll learn everything about recession-proof investing, real estate versus stocks, different types of real estate investing, how to appraise your own deals so you're not leaning on a third party to tell you what something is worth, out-of-state investing, maximizing your profits, and minimizing your expenses, improving your credit score, different types of loans and which one best fits you and your deal, selecting the right mortgage broker, finding the best deal, lease agreements, and how to find great tenants, and many, many more topics. This is my gold standard program, and in it I put together 1 decade's worth of experience and millions of dollars that I've invested, saving you the time and the money to learn the lessons that I had to learn. To learn more, click the link in the description below this video.